Hey, what's up guys? This is Alan here again, back with another video. And today I want to talk about a few things. Well, first of all, I actually recorded a little bit earlier today, but it was so hot. I was like sweating all over the place and it was like very distracting. Well, I hope everyone's being safe out there because it's getting kind of crazy right now. I mean, on top of the shutting down all the bars, we now have these protests and riots, and there's just a lot of civil unrest right now. It's like pretty nuts. So I can see how a lot of people can be stressed out, especially in the the restaurant and bar industry, because unfortunately a lot of these riots and looting has also affected a lot of bar and restaurant owners. It just gives another obstacle on top of the pandemic for them to have to overcome to reopen, and the whole thing's just messed up, like on top of what the protests were about. And it's becoming to a point where it's like how reopening restaurants is almost like it's like, is it even worth it? Because there's so much stuff that's going on right now. It's gonna make it, well, anyways, what my video originally was supposed to be about was the announcement of my podcast, which is going to be called Off the Clock, where I interview a few bartenders and other hospitality workers on current events. And right now there's like a lot of current events. Like, I kind of wish I would have started this a little earlier, because I think a lot of bartenders, servers, managers and owners have a lot to say, and I think that a lot of people are worried, and I think we need a forum where a lot of people can talk about it. Like, yeah, I know that there are some like Facebook pages and stuff where they do talk about it, but I think we need a bigger platform where like the public can watch too as well. So I give you some messages. So yeah, what my podcast is going to be about, I mean, of course, of the recent events, is going to be how to reopen bars and restaurants safely, like after the pandemic, after the riots have calmed down. But again, like, another aspect is not just bars and restaurants itself, but also what these riots were about. Like, I think one of the things that I learned about, working in a restaurant is that you work with people of all economic classes, which is something that other jobs don't have the luxury of. For example, if you worked at a lab, a 9-to-5 job, or if you're like a bus driver, if you work as a police officer, even, you don't work alongside of people that are in such a varied socioeconomic classes. Like in a restaurant, you have the the dishwashers, runners, bussers, front of the house, as well as the cooks, and even the owners themselves. Like, I've worked in some pretty big restaurant groups, and even then you'll still get a chance to meet the owner of the whole restaurant group every once in a while. But a lot of people work in jobs where they'll never meet their boss, or they'll never meet their owner, and I think that creates this connection. I think that's why a lot of hospitality workers are so sympathetic, is because even if we haven't faced racism or prejudice ourselves, we see it happening to the people that we know. And I think that's why, like, when I look at social media, like, a lot of like my bartender friends, they tend to be more sympathetic. They're still like very angry at what's going on right now, because it's like even though it's not happening to them, it's happening to their friends. And I think that's why they're also very mad at the whole situation that's going on right now. So the reason why I want this podcast is not only for the public to see what's going on in the bartending world. I also want to see how the bartenders think. There's more to bartending, or there's more to bartenders than just their whiskey knowledge, the wine knowledge, the moral knowledge, the cocktail knowledge. Like, they're like this whole other world, another world about bartenders that I think a lot of people don't see. We're very sympathetic, and I think that's why a lot of people, it's kind of like the old Cheers shows or any bartender that's on TV. So why do people confide with bartenders? And I think it's because bartenders deal with a lot of people, like not just within their own working environments. Like, you just talk to a lot of people in different socioeconomic classes. We just talk to a lot of people, so I think that it allows us to have this more open-mindedness that a lot of people do trust. And I think that a lot of bartenders are afraid to be angry because they're seen as this more of like a listener group. So I'm hoping that this podcast is also going to allow. Also, I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but the podcast is going to be called Off the Clock, just because I think like when I hang out with my bartender friends after we clock out, like we have like a lot of interesting conversations, and I almost like wish that somebody was recording it, because we do have a lot to say. And I'm not like trying to toot my own horn or just saying that bartenders know everything, but I think that we do have a very different view, different perspective on how the world works, just because we interact with so many people. So I'm hoping this podcast will also, especially these tough times, I'm hoping that it'll unify everyone and give different perspectives, because we kind of like, I think that it's good if the bartenders are allowed to complain for once. They're mad too about a lot of things that are going on. They're mad about not just about racism and about politics that are going on right now, but they're also mad about how much it costs to run a bar, how much rent is in big cities like San Francisco and New York. There's like a lot of problems that are unique in the industry that I think they need to vent as well. Just as like how guests would vent their problems to us, I think this will be a good forum for them to vent out to the world. It's not just a fun and games party atmosphere, but it's not always going to be depressing. Like we're going to do some fun stuff too, which is what my original podcast was like going to be about. It's just the recent events have been so depressing that. But at the same time, I don't think we should avoid it. Like, somebody needs to talk about it. And I think that, when a lot of bartenders, when they're like, sharing memes and articles on their Facebook page, generally speaking, like the only other people who are going to see it are their Facebook friends. So I think the world is missing out on what bartenders think. And, like the country, the US was founded in a bar. Like a lot of the politics, that's where you went to look for work and you look for news and stuff, was at the bar. And I think that our knowledge and opinions are pretty useful. And I think that a lot of people, even if they'll disagree with it, at least it'll help them give them perspective. Well, anyways, if you guys have any ideas of what who I should interview, like I already have a few bartenders I'm going to interview. Like I do want to first interview, like obviously I'm not going to get a lot of celebrities and famous bartenders in the beginning, but I do want to interview different bartenders on different cities and see what their idea or what their opinions are on all this stuff that's going on in the US right now. And I think we're going to have like a lot of entertaining and informative interviews, because like I've traveled, but I've not traveled everywhere. So I'm interested on what a lot of these different bartenders from these cities who I haven't been to think about what's going on with this situation. And if you guys want to join in on my podcast, feel free to PM me on is it PM or DM? On Instagram, I'm gonna have, I think my handle's on my information below. And yeah, let me know what topics you want to talk about. Yeah, so anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.